Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So there's a whole bunch of Flash Season 2 stuff happening right now. The biggest question that we still haven't answered though is who is the blue Flash in that promo? If you never read the comics and you didn't watch the classic TV show, there are a number of versions of the Flash that have worn blue costumes before. Like if you go back to the John Wesley Shipp Flash show, the classic Flash 90s series, there was a cloned version of the character that wore a blue costume. If you go back in the comics, he was a Blue Lantern during the War of Light, so then he had a blue costume, but he was wearing a Blue Lantern ring, so that was why the costume was blue. And then more recently, in the New 52, before Future's End, we saw a future version of Barry Allen that wore a blue costume. Some of you have been asking me questions about Cobalt Blue, who's a different character. His name is Malcolm Thawne. He looks like what Eddie used to look like on the TV show. He was like a long-lost brother of Barry Allen that was raised by Thawnes. So he had Allen DNA, but a Thawne name. That's why, a lot of people thought that Eddie might be Cobalt Blue during Season 1. Turns out that's not the case. But he's not really part of my consideration for Season 2 of The Flash. The actor that plays Eddie, Rick Kuznet, was just cast as a main character on another TV show. So don't expect him to show up for an extended period of time on Flash Season 2. Anybody that's going to be the main villain of Flash Season 2 is going to have to be in the majority of episodes. So it's not going to be some guest star that's going to show up at the last minute and then take off right away. It'll be more like Season 1 where we're not sure who the character is, but they show up all the time without us really realizing it. Tom Cavanaugh said after Season 1, part of what drew him to the show is the idea of playing dual roles. It's kind of like Tatiana Maslany on Orphan Black, one person playing multiple characters. He said that that's going to continue in Season 2. He didn't say how, he didn't say he's going to be the villain. But because we know we're going to get Earth 2, and because this character here, this, blue Flash running around, is supposed to be Zoom, I think the show might be taking dual identities to the next level. I mean, that's what Earth 2 is all about. About what would the world look like if everybody made different choices? The only characters right now that we know for sure that are coming from Earth 2 are Jay Garrick, who we hear in the trailer, your world is in danger, and Zoom. The danger that he's talking about is Zoom. So in addition to new speedsters, we're probably going to see alternate versions of characters that already exist on the show. I know a lot of people are wondering how Caitlin Snow is supposed to become Killer Frost. Will Killer Frost be the Earth 2 version of Caitlin, or will it be our Caitlin? That's not really important for what I'm talking about right now. This video is mostly about the blue Flashes from the comics and Zoom from the TV show. It can be a little confusing because Zoom in the comics is like a number of different things. The comics change things all the time. Typically, when people talk about Zoom, they're talking about Hunter Zolomon. That was the Geoff Johns era Zoom. He was the one that took the mantle of the Reverse Flash from Professor Zoom, Eobard Thawne. Now, everybody got a little bit confused when I talked about Professor Zoom and Eobard Thawne in my last Flash video. So, in the comics, Eobard Thawne's name is Professor Zoom. The Reverse Flash is like the blanket name that you give to whoever, the Flash's greatest enemy is at any given time. So Professor Zoom and Zoom, two completely different characters from the comics. The show did Eobard Thawne, but I don't think that they ever directly called him Professor Zoom. I think the show only ever referred to him as the Reverse Flash, so I'll try to be clear whenever I'm using different names for the different Reverse Flashes. Thankfully, the TV show simplifies a lot of things. Don't worry, they will fully explain it, so if you don't want to read the comics, you won't have to. You'll still totally be able to follow it. This character right here is going to be Zoom, but I think they took a lot of inspiration from a couple different things in the comics, and I want to give you a few more ideas when you're theory crafting about who Zoom might be. So right now, the footage that they used to make this promo, it's actually old footage from the Flash Season 1. They changed the colors so it looked like it was new footage. So the Flash's yellow-looking lightning looks blue now, and his costume looks a little black. I think there's a little bit of eye-winking to the John Wesley Shipp era with the Pollux character, with the blue Flash costume, the alternate version, the evil clone, and the future Flash from the New 52 comics. So I'm going to have to explain who the future blue Flash is from the New 52 era, so careful for spoilers from that, because it's really critical to understanding some of the themes that they're working with in the Flash Season 2. So the future Flash of the New 52 universe is Barry Allen from 20 years in the future. His storyline is the culmination of a lifetime of Barry being late to things, not being able to save people. So 20 years in the future, he comes to the conclusion, he finds a way to fix everything. So he starts jumping around in time, it starts causing fractures in the Speed Force, and creating really, really big problems in the past. His solution at a certain point is to go back in time and sacrifice himself. So you get to this really awesome future Barry versus past Barry panel. Thematically, it was very similar to Barry Allen's arc on the TV show in season 1. He was trying to go back in time and save his mother. In the case of the comics, like Blue Future Flash was trying to go back in time and save Wally West. So, it all works out. This is like right before Convergence, so they've completely wiped this. And the new Barry Allen, like the new post-Convergence Barry Allen, looks like this. So, like, his costume has changed again. But as crazy as all that sounds, just think about it this way. Like, Barry Allen wants to go back and change things. He's like, I think I can go back and save my mother. I think he even said that in that promo. Like, he starts second-guessing himself, so he starts to go really dark. He gets more violent. Then 20 years in the future, at the end of his rope, he suddenly realizes, like, I know how to fix this all. They're not going to do that on the TV show. It's not going to be that dark. But what if Earth 2's version of Barry is the Zoom character? Like, what if Barry is the villain of season 2? That might not be where the TV show's going. Like, they might not do it that way. But I really like them taking the idea of dual identities in Earth 1 and Earth 2 to, like, the next level in season 2. Caitlin Snow is the best example of that character, too. We have our version of Caitlin, then we have the alternate future Killer Frost version. What is this internal battle that's going to be going on with Caitlin Snow that's going to drive her over the edge? Maybe that has something to do with what's going on between Barry and his battle with Zoom in season 2. Typically what happens is the theme of each season spills across all the characters' arcs. So here's my big question for you guys. Do you think that the TV show would ever go to that place where they let Grant Gustin be his own villain? Or do you think they're going to do something more traditional, where Zoom is going to be like an alternate version of the Reverse Flash? Just remember that, like, any theory that you come up with, however elaborate, is probably going to be more spectacular than what the reality of the show is going to be. Typically, shows are made so the people that don't read comics can follow them. So I'm expecting Zoom on the TV show to be way less complex. So it probably is going to be a different character. It probably won't be like an evil version of Barry. But if you want to read that comic book storyline where, like, evil Barry from the future comes back and tries to kill past Barry, well, technically he's not evil, he's just super dark, but it's all about the creation of Wally West. That's really like the end goal of the storyline. It starts in the New 52 run with Flash number 30. I actually feel like that's a pretty important run to read because it introduces a biracial Wally West. They said Wally West is going to be African American on the TV show. No idea how the story's going to surface him. He could come from Earth 2, he could get his powers some other way. It won't be exactly like it happened in the comics. Like nothing they do on the TV show is exactly like they do it on the comics. Usually when they do a storyline from the comics, they just use a lot of visual references. So hopefully you guys are like a little bit closer to figuring out who Zoom is on the TV show. I would advise you to develop at least like 2 or 3 different theories because the show could take any number of directions. And we will be seeing both versions of the Reverse Flash again from season 1, the yellow costume Reverse Flash. We'll be seeing both Matt Letscher, who played the first version of Eobard Thawne before he sucked in the DNA of Harrison Wells and it became like the Tom Cavanaugh Reverse Flash. We'll be seeing Eobard Thawne and Harrison Wells both in season 2, but in different contexts than they were in season 1. They won't be doing the exact same things, and their characters will be just a little bit different. But let me know what all your theories are. Like, why is Zoom going to jump to Earth 1, and what is it he's going to try to do that Team Flash is going to have to stop? And do you think that he's going to try and co-opt some of our characters? Like, will he be responsible for Caitlin Snow becoming Killer Frost? That might explain what's going on with Firestorm in season 2 as well. But like, we'll actually see Firestorm in the first episode, so we'll know what's going on with him right away. So in a couple weeks, they're actually going to be doing a big press conference where they'll talk about the Flash season 2. We might even get an official trailer with like brand new footage. They've been shooting for a while, so they definitely got it. Stephen Amell has also been posting a lot of pictures from the Arrow set along with the other characters. He's been posting a lot of like really sleeveless new Green Arrow costume pictures. So whenever the Flash does their press conference, we'll also probably find out a bunch of Arrow stuff too. It's like a combined CW press conference, so I'll be doing videos for all that stuff whenever it happens. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. And if you guys didn't know, I'm actually doing a weekly DC giveaway. The schedule's been a little crazy because of Comic-Con and stuff. All you have to do to enter that is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. I'm going to be posting another Arrow Season 4 video in like a day or two, so I'll just announce the winner whenever I post that. Really big news too. Yesterday they published this new Reverse Flash comic that's actually this really cool story about post-convergence and what's going on with the characters. They changed the way the Speed Force works. So if you guys want me to do a video about that, I'll make a Flash video about that next week. So while you guys wait for all that stuff, you can click here to learn all about Killer Frost in the comics, learn about her comic book history, and you can click here to learn all about Game of Thrones' plan for 8 seasons. They just confirmed 8 seasons and a prequel show. So everybody flip out. It's going to be amazing. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody, let's high five. I'll see you guys tomorrow.